Hey folks, Frank the Pestgeek here. That was one loud car. Anyway, I'm having a cigar. It's been a hot day, bro. I haven't done a darn thing all day. Mm. I'm enjoying. I had it a little while ago. I was having a conversation on the phone with a friend about lawn care and how he wished he could make the lawns look nicer and greener. And I said, bro, the reality is that in South Florida, the biggest problem you have is so many people use landscapers. When you're mowing the lawn every 2 weeks, you can't hit that lawn with nitrogen, especially in the summer when they allow it to grow to 10 inches. Then they scalp it back and your lawn is yellow. And now you got to go and run and deal with it with fungicide. Your job is to keep it as healthy as possible. If the cultural care isn't there, people don't pay for top dressing here. People won't pay for aeration. They just want a monthly spray or a bi-monthly spray or even a quarter. They want even a quarterly spray for lawn. And they're hoping that a quarterly spray is somehow going to make that lawn beautiful. We've had this conversation. I said, bro, I've done it. Been doing it for 15 years. This is my specialty, is doing lawns. The average client, the mainstream client that is buying pest control, lawn care from a large national brand is buying a minimum viable product. And what they're wanting you to do is, for the same price, give them, a better looking lawn than can be done. It'll never look like the golf course. It'll never look like the golf course because that's a superintendent looking at that thing every day, a crew looking at it every day. I'm doing a Cohiba today. Havana. It was a gift. And a nice coffee. And, bro, the reality is that as hard as you work, you can't get that lawn to look like a golf course lawn or a super premium lawn or an estate lawn when they aren't mowing it. You can't allow a lawn to grow more than a third. When it grows to double and then you scalp it down and you have a dull blade, the fact that it doesn't have weeds, it doesn't have disease, and it doesn't have insect, is reality is the best you're going to do. You're not going to get it to look that, guy doesn't mow it with a sharp blade, you're done. So, we've been having that discussion. He just wants it to look better and he wants to do better. And I know you want to do the best job you can for your client. But the reality is that if it doesn't have disease, it doesn't have weeds, and it's not yellow and it's somewhat green, they can be lucky that you got it that good, because we can't get it much better, but we're doing a better job than the national brands are doing, because they're sending in these $10 an hour technicians right now that have no clue what a lawn is supposed to look like. And they have no clue what they're supposed to be doing most of the time. So, we're good. The clients aren't complaining. When they were complaining that, I hired this company and my lawn is full of weeds. Well, we got rid of the weeds. It doesn't have an insect problem. It doesn't have a severe disease problem. That's, you're getting what you pay for. In my case, if you want it to look nicer, get your landscaper to mow it with a sharp blade. Get him to mow it weekly. Get it to mow it between 3 and 4 inches, and it will look way better on its own. But we're not miracle workers. So you got a decision to make. I can't add another 10, 15% to my cost to kind of appease the client that I'm doing something more because I applied another product. That's going to eat right into my margin. So it isn't going to happen. So that was my consultation for today. I want to talk about being decisive. Making decisions on desperation usually is detrimental to business development. I have a friend who's a mutual friend of Eric, my media guy. He was consulting him through me because he had the relationship, much longer before he started his business. And he basically had an entrepreneurial seizure. He lost it at work. He had enough of the abuse. I get it. And he wanted to start up. The problem is he wanted to start up a mattress, building mattresses, custom built mattresses. The problem is he wasn't going to charge enough, and he put a warehouse in the middle of a depressed neighborhood, really depressed neighborhood that is very low income. And he's thinking he's put a 3-foot sign up on that building that people are going to be driving by and saying, oh, there, I need a custom mattress. Let me go stop there and get one. When you have companies like Mattress Giant and Mattress Firm, and then you've got Purple Mattress online, you've got Dyla Mattress, you've got Tempur-Pedic, you've got all these premium brands. And he said, no, I'm going to make mattresses. I'm just going to make them cheap for people. I said, that's a beautiful sentiment, bro. The problem is it doesn't matter how cheap you make it. People are not going to buy super premium mattresses when they can't afford it. That was a year ago. I said he already tried before doing mattresses and failed. And why does he want to do it? Well, because his brother's been successful. But his brother's doing it forever. And he's already got the clientele. He's got an established business. He knows what he's doing. He's doing some shady stuff too. And yesterday, for the second time, he got admitted to the hospital because the stress. He's got an arrhythmia that was discovered due to the stress he was under. But he made one bad decision. I told him, don't put your money into inventory. Put your money into marketing. Sell a super premium mattress at half the price. Show them how you do it. Put the videos up on YouTube. Go on Facebook. Go on social media. Start marketing. And before you build the product, seeing if there's a market and test it. He rented a giant warehouse, immediately started doing the opposite, manufacturing mattresses, having inventory. He tied up all his revenue, all his startup money into inventory that nobody was going to buy. Then he decides, well, that didn't work, so I'm going to start doing upholstery, which is an upholsterer. Then I'm going to get into custom furniture making. But the thing is, he's giving it away at prices that he can't make a profit. So every month he's scraping by for the last year. It's taking a toll on his health. It's taking a toll on him, which he did everything that I told him not to do so he wouldn't fail. He went and did the opposite. Because when a person doesn't know their business, they know the work. They know how to make the furniture. I mean, he just worked all week last week for $2,000 the whole week. That's what he made. He worked all week to sell $3,000 of custom furniture for a hotel. I said, why did you do that? Why did you make custom nightstands that are $380? And he says, what is the comparable on it? I said, yeah, but everything that was available to them, to their suppliers, they didn't like. I gave them something they wanted. Why did you charge $300 when it cost you almost $100 in materials, and it's going to be that much labor to be all week working on 8 tables? You could have sold them for $500 if they couldn't find them. You're selling a super premium product they can't find, they can't get anywhere. It's an exclusive product. He doesn't take a deposit on none of his work, so he's constantly funding it and waiting for people to write checks. I said, bro, why is it that you're the only guy in the world not asking for a deposit? It's one bad decision after bad decision after bad. So I finally this week had a conversation with him, and I said, bro, I'm burned out and this and that, and my chest is hurting. And I said, dude, you've done everything I told you. You got to bite the bullet on this. Rip off the Band-Aid and dump that warehouse that you're paying $2,000 a month that you don't have enough business. The overhead is killing you. He's got a giant truck, convert that to a mobile unit to do mobile upholstery. show up to people's houses, do their upholstery right there on the spot, collect the money, and have a nice day. I said, how much did you make on the upholstery chairs that you did? He says, oh, I made $200 profit. How long did that take? A couple hours. I said, so let me guess this. In about 8 hours, you made over 200 an hour. And yet you chose to make custom furniture on an exclusive product and sell it for virtually no profit and tie your entire week up where you couldn't work, because when you're working, you're not selling. When you're selling, you're not working. And that makes sense to you because he's under the gun. When you make bad decisions, you will always be under the gun to have to make another bad decision, to make another bad decision. It's detrimental to your business development. When we talk about being decisive, we talk about making a decision, but decision is an educated, informed decision. I would say anywhere between 60 to 80%. You're never going to be 100. Most of the mistakes you're going to make, you're going to learn along the way not to make them. And what you got to learn is not to keep doing them. You don't want to pay tuition on the same mistake. Let me get a little comfortable here. People ask me, being decisive is the ability to make decisions quickly, but effectively, that they're effective decisions. I told him to read E-Myth before he got into business. He didn't listen. If he would have listened, but he thinks, oh, you guys with all your business stuff and this, and bro, I just need to make the furniture and people will buy it. I build it and they will come. Well, he built it and no, they're not coming. He's getting all his business from referral, but the referral business he's getting is not, I told him it's not because you're good. It is because you're good, but primarily because you're cheap. And people keep referring you, this guy's good and he's cheap. You can't be both. Just having the conversation with my friend, I said, bro, I'm taking on properties that we're charging $400 a month for a complete lawn, mosquito, and home packages for $300, $400, $600, $800 a month. My rate right now is over $250 an hour. We're having no issues with these people, no problems, no closing, no callbacks. They're happy as a lark. And I'm on those properties an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours tops. I'm doing 3 to 5 properties a day, and I'm producing an average of 1,000 a day on those 3 to 5 properties. I'm not killing myself. My biggest stress is traffic. Getting back when I'm far away, 61 miles away sometimes. But on 2 properties, I made $900 in 4 hours. But these are estates that people are expecting beauty and perfection. And that's what I'm offering them. People ask me all the time, what business should I start? I said, start a business that you know about and that you're good at and you like. If you don't have that yet, that means you haven't probably worked enough. You're too young. You haven't found something you really like. And listen, I wasn't looking for pest control when I stumbled onto pest control. I was actually looking to do something else. I don't know. But it wasn't pest control. And I absolutely fell in love with pest control. It was a part-time job I did on Saturdays to help my brother-in-law out. Start something you have experience in. If your experience is in GHP, go into GHP. Like one of my biggest mistakes is not going into termite sooner. I should have gone to termite, and I was actually afraid of it, to tell you the truth. I was afraid of all those comments and everything I heard, but I should know better not to listen to that and done it anyway. That's my biggest mistake, not doing it sooner. Find something you like doing and then do that. If you're young and you still only had 2 jobs, 3 jobs, go get another part-time job doing something else. Keep switching jobs. This is, by the way, this is a Gen Xer telling you to do this because the only way you're going to find out what you like doing is to try different things. At 18, 19, 20, 21, 25, you don't know what the hell you want to do in life. The fact that your parents feed you that crap is full of it. They didn't know what the hell they were going to do. They got into college to get a degree in finance. And then, 10 years later, they're doing something else. I got guys that they're electrical engineers doing pest control. They decided, I like pest control better than electrical engineering. Who went out and started Subways, restaurants. My children learned a valuable lesson last week, 2 weeks ago, on the fact that they thought they had $1 million idea that they were going to launch, but they didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. They thought it was a good idea to go pick up duck feathers around the pond, clean the duck feathers, and sell duck feathers to the residents. I said to them, ain't nobody going to buy that crap. That you shouldn't have encouraged them. You should have told them, try it, son. See if that works. No, it's a bad idea. Nobody's going to buy that crap. What did they do? They washed the feathers. They went and they stood outside and they offered their feathers, clean feathers, duck feathers, to every passerby. Nobody bought a feather. Nobody cared. Frustrated, they started making flyers, handwritten flyers, hanging them on doors. I said, it violates the community rules. You can't do that. You need to go back and pick up all those flyers and throw them in the garbage. But how are we going to make money? I said, you got to follow the rules. My daughter says, but we worked hard cleaning all those feathers. You got to understand that hard work doesn't mean you have a good business idea just because you worked hard at it. So she came to me afterwards and says, how is it that you do all this stuff and you make money and you get all these business ideas and you make money? And I said, because you don't see me when I'm studying for 40 hours, looking at studies and looking at videos and looking at reports and understanding the market. And then I spend the next month or 2 or a year doing research on it in the field where it matters to see if anybody wants to buy this dumb thing. And then when I find out that I have a working model and a working idea, and I try it on 10 of my clients and I offer it to 10 of my clients, see how they like it, then I go ahead and then I introduce it to all of my clients and then I sell it across the line. What you doing? Yeah. Okay. So that was their first failure in venture.
Ready to decorate. Go ahead. Start.
You go decorate it.
Right.
So, that was her first question is you do stuff, but you don't do the research. You immediately go and just gung-ho, half-cocked, doing stuff and wondering why it doesn't work for you. Everybody asks me, I get call after call after call, message after message, email. Bro, how do I do the essential oil thing? And how do I do natural? And how I do eco-friendly? And how do I do this? And how do I do that? And then I send them it's on Pestgeek, by the way, 25 essential oils, all my essential oil studies. I'll do 20 studies on Coleoptera. I'll do 20 studies on ants. I'll find whatever was done all around the world. There's over 100 studies on there. They're free. You can have them. And that took 10 years to develop. And you think in a 1-hour conversation, I'm going to be able to download to you everything I know about what and what not to do. Here's what I learned. 99% of what I did failed. I found out what worked. I found out what it worked on. and then I only sell that. People like, man, you know, you're doing all this work with cockroaches and you're doing this and you're doing that. And it's like, I just had a guy on a group just go off on me. And then he messaged me. And then I told him, bro, the reality is your company's not going to give you the time to do what Deanie Miller says, to do what Bobby Corrigan says, to do what Paul Bello says. You're not charging enough. How much are you charging for your initials? $169. I said, well, I started out at $459. That's why I have the time to do it. Your company's never going to give you the time. You can't do it. But the complete resource guide on getting complete cockroach is on my podcast. It's a free, it has all the studies that Deanie Miller published, Brenner at the USDA. And what did I do? Back in 9 years ago, I decided I'm going to do IPM in homes the way they do it in industrial facilities, the way they do it in audited facilities, the way AIB does it, the way AIB requires, the way organic facilities require it. And then I created a program for homes. I had people call me and says, well, my people aren't going to do all that. I said, then you can't do it. You've got to be willing to do what it takes for you to do it. And what a lot of you fail at is getting wise counsel. You're asking a guy that sprays baseboards, how do you do IPM? You're asking the wrong guy. I'm going to give you like 4 Bible verses that have to do with getting counsel. Proverbs 11:14. Where there is no counsel, the people fall. But in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. Why are you asking your father-in-law what he thinks about the business idea? Your father-in-law has never built a business. Why are you going on groups asking about accounting advice when none of those guys are accountants? Why are you asking for legal advice when they're not lawyers? I don't give legal advice. I don't give accounting advice. Why? It's not my thing. Which is the best way to set up a company? I don't know, bro. I don't know your assets. I don't know your liabilities. So why are you asking a bunch of solo operators how to set up a corporation to protect yourself when most of them are, they haven't set one up? Is it an LLC? Is it an S Corp? Is it a C Corp? I don't know. Why don't you sit down with your accountant, pay him $120 and ask him that question? And you'll get a better answer in your state. Proverbs 15:22, without counsel, plans go awry, but in the multitude of counselors, they are established. My friend, listen to nobody, ask nobody. He was wise in his own eyes. You need to bring that down, baby? He was wise in his own eyes. He's failing. He won't listen. And then he's frustrated why his plans aren't working. Well, I prayed about it. And then I believe that if I tithe and I give and I do all this stuff, God's just going to bless me. No. I like it when people say, oh, everything happens for a reason. Yeah, usually the reason is you did something stupid. Mommy, don't put it in your face.
Mama, you're better off using the scissor for that. Oh, right. I forgot.
There's a difference when Scripture says that all things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. That is not the same as everything, happens for a reason. 24:6, Proverbs. For by wise counsel, you will wage your own war. And in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. I just got a call from Seth Garber. He says, bro, you're working hard, but you're not growing as fast as you want. Why don't you come up here to Tampa? We go have dinner, and I'll give you some advice on how you can scale faster than you're scaling. And nobody's going to tell me, but I'm going to listen to him anyway. Because if there's somebody that knows how to scale a business, it's Seth Garber. There's a couple of guys that I listen to that when I get them on the phone or I call them, they know what they're talking about. Seth Garber is one of those guys. I'm not going to like what he's going to tell me all the time. That doesn't make his advice bad. It makes it accurate. I'm just sometimes not willing to accept it. I got to admit that. Another guy that I'll listen to, and I will get counsel as soon as I start my termite business, which I'm going to his conference. I couldn't go this year. I went to the last one, is Paul Bello. Why? Because Paul Bello knows what the hell he's talking about. The guy was a technical director at one of the largest firms in the world. He actually owned his own pest control business with over 10 employees. Was very successful. The guy's a CPA. He's an expert witness in consumer trials. Wrote, I don't know how much of that Termidor label. So if you want to surround yourself by people, listen to what they have to say and stop being wise in your own eyes. Being decisive doesn't mean run caught and you just do whatever inspires you at the moment. It's getting the best advice that you can so you can make the best decision that you can at that time. And when you take your lumps, you're going to take a lot less lumps. There's another guy on the scene that most of you don't know about. The guy's brilliant. Joe Jonovich. He probably doesn't know that I'm going to mention him, but that guy's second generation pest control. He is an entomologist, board certified entomologist, a BCE. He had his own lawn care company. He sold it, started a distributing business, couldn't make it profitable. He teaches at University of Florida Pest Management University, but he's both academic and practical. He's the kind of guy that they call from all over the world when nobody can solve that problem and they fly him out to Hawaii somewhere. He knows how to go to market. He can teach me how to get to 2 million. Extremely humble, super nice, and not expensive. So if you're looking for consulting, I just gave you 3 guys. Now, Seth isn't going to be cheap, but there isn't anybody I know that's used them that hasn't been successful if they listen to him. So when he calls me and he says, bro, will you come up here? Hell yeah. So I'm going to do something after New Year's. He's kind of busy right now. But you're asking the wrong people in the wrong places. You can't ask a guy who's a solo operator how you grow a $2 million business. He doesn't know. So being decisive, and when you make things out of desperation because you lost your job, you do what the E-Myth calls you had an entrepreneurial seizure, and you start doing all these things, you're going to pay a price. It's going to slow you down. You're going to make a lot more mistakes. It's going to be more costly. Frank, what do I do if I'm stuck at a crappy company with crappy pay, crappy benefits, and well, Florida is real tough because you can't work for 2 pest control companies at the same time. You can only work for one. And you want to start up your pest control business, but you're not a sales guy. You're not a marketing guy. Go get another job doing something else to pay the bills. That'll pay you almost as much. And then go put in 60 to 90 hours a week, working your business part-time in the evening and on weekends. Or borrow 50 grand from your father-in-law, if he'll lend it to you, and go start up. I would rather you do that, but what is that strain going to put on your kids and your wife and your relationship? If they can't stomach it, you're stuck. But if I was going to start a business that I knew nothing about, because you don't know the back end of the business, you only know the technical part. You know the front end. You know how to do customer service. You know how to do some sales if they give you a lead, but you don't know how to do the marketing for it. You're not a networker. You're not going to go knock on doors, which is the quickest way to grow it. That's how I started. I knocked on doors. You're not good with SEO because you got a year's learning curve. You're going to have to listen to, 100 videos from Neil Patel, because Neil Patel drips it. He doesn't give you all the info. And you're going to have to listen before you figure out how to do SEO, and that takes 6 months to a year. Start out part-time in the evenings. But I'm not going to work evenings, and I'm not going to work weekends. Bro, then you can't start your business, because there's no way you're going to run a business on 40 hours a week. Even when you start, you're not going to run on 40 hours a week. You don't know what you don't know to make an educated decision. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is very detrimental, especially business ignorance. Now, it's not that hard, but do you have the DNA? And it doesn't matter if you're introverted, if you're extroverted. Chances are, if you're middle of the road, you'll do better, because you can think a little bit more. You're a little bit more conservative than the guy who's very charismatic and goes out and jumps off the cliff before he puts on the parachute. The fundamental of business is a commercial transaction. If you can't sell, you can't have a business. If you don't have a viable business idea that you've tested, how do you know it's even going to work? So understand the fundamentals, sales and marketing. It's where it's at. I'm going to recommend a series of books that you're going to find very helpful before you start out, before you even decide to want to do this. One of them is Ready, Fire, Aim, 0 to 100 million in no time. That's a hell of a title and a hell of a promise from Michael Masterson, but it's oversold, the title. But he's got very solid principles. I said E-Myth, Michael Gerber, why most small businesses don't work and what to do about it. It's the most practical book you can read before you start, so you know the reality. Mike Michalowicz, I love his books. I've had all of them. Profit First, simple system to transform any business from a cash-eating monster to a money-making machine. Profit First is, I practice Profit First. Profit First is not a bad word. The next one is Clockwork, Design Your Business to Run Itself, by the same guy, Mike Michalowicz. The Pumpkin Plan, a simple strategy to grow a remarkable business in any field. And the Toilet Paper Entrepreneur, the Tell It Like It Is guide to cleaning up in business, even if you're at the end of your paper roll. It's a catchy title. Excellent business books before you start. They're all based similar to traction, but you can't really do traction until you're about at least $1 million in revenue. A lot of guys say, oh, traction is way better than E-Myth. I agree. But E-Myth is for the beginning guy. Traction is for the guy who's got a business where he's got a CEO, where he's got a CFO, where he's got a CMO, and he's doing about $1 million. And scaling from 1 million to 10 million is actually easier than going from 0 to $1 million. Because that's where you're going to make all your mistakes. That's where I made all my mistakes. Once you figure out the system, and once you figure out systems, Scaling is a lot easier. So right now I'm in that where I need to scale. I'm looking at building route number 3 for next year. I'm a year behind. I should have done it. I didn't. Should have gotten termite. I didn't. And if I would have gotten termite, would have been way ahead. But I was in love and enamored. Little turd. And I was enamored with lawn care, and I fell in love with something that wasn't going to love me back. So I hope this understanding of being decisive, if you can get 60% of the information, go for it. Because we're going to be talking about the detriments to making decisions then in the next episode. Hey, this is Frank the Pestgeek wishing you a spectacular day.
$10.